Welcome back to another episode of the Dynasty Dingers podcast. Today is Monday, June 30th, right around the corner from the All-Star game. Baseball has hit its halfway mark. A lot of exciting things for us to talk about today. Before we get rolling, Doc, what's going on, dude?
I'm just chilling, bro. Just living. Got some fun stuff coming up in life. We got Freedom Day. Gosh, shoot, darn it. I should have had a more patriotic. I got a beer that has Keystone Light. There we go. It's a special one. It's a special one.
What are you doing drinking Keystone?
What do you mean?
Is this your beer of choice?
I used to drink Yangling beer, but this one had a cool flag on it, and I haven't had it since college in Canada. Okay. And I remember being like, it's made in America. And I was like, that's all right. And this is my first Keystone in a long time, over 10 years. So
I'm not trying to shame you. It's just that's what we drank Keystone as, is like pre-21 college / like basement house parties back home. You know, like that was the name of the game, was Keystone. So to see you drinking it, it was like, whoa, throwback.
Yeah. It's a greasy one. So yeah, America, freedom.
What's going on with you in your fourth then? Having a professional job. Are you off half the week? Are you working? What are you doing for the fourth?
Well, bro, yeah, I got that one off.
I would hope so.
Yeah, so we're good there. We got invited to a community thing. There's gonna be big fireworks on the beach around here, folks. Yeah, I got some privilege popping up. But it's like after years of grinding, finally catching a couple breaks here. I've been catching breaks my whole life, but this is I haven't always had the money, folks, and I still have to like save up, but finally getting some silver dollars rolling in, and yeah, we got a really cool spot here. So we got fireworks on the lake. Suck it. Go out and get some. It's almost like pro-capitalist baseball podcast of all time.
It's fun that you say that, because that's one of the big pieces that I was looking forward to when we made our transition back to the Midwest, coming from the West Coast and, California particularly, and then Nevada. I remember my first New Year, or my first 4th of July in Orange County. I was in Huntington Beach that night, and I was walking with my buddy, and I was like, this is super lame. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, back home, you're on the lake, you're with friends and family. It's like, we're just walking down the street right now. This is not like my version of the 4th of July. And then in Las Vegas, it's just like, fireworks everywhere, but you're in the middle of the desert with no water. Also not the most patriotic. I guess on the flip side of that, like one of the biggest like showcases of capitalism is Las Vegas. So there is that side. But yeah, dude, very cool. We're gonna be doing the same thing out at the lake.
It's kind of funny though. I'm near DC, and I just have no interest of doing anything in DC because I feel like it'd be way too many people there.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a weird. It's you would think that was
like not. It's like not going to New York City when you live by New York City for New Year's Eve, right? Do you feel like similar to that?
Yeah. Yes, that must be it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but you have like so much sicker of an opportunity where you live. So most definitely. All right, dude. Sir. Enough about our boring lives. Let's get into it. So you and I talked about Ketel Marte last week. We theorized some things. I told you, and my buddy was there. He thought he knew who was doing it. Well, I ended up sending you a text the next day. The heckler is a known heckler that I was speaking about, but she was not the one to make Ketel Marte cry. But first and foremost, I wanted to just address the fact that like she broadcasts herself on Twitter as the Chicago heckler. Who does that? Like, that's just crazy.
That lady sucks.
Yeah, that lady sucks. Not a fan.
She's worse than the kid. She should get kicked out. The kid just said something.
Most definitely.
So do you want to lead this one in?
No, you lead this one in because you're fired up about it.
Yeah, well, last week I was kind of pussyfooting. That's a funny word.
You were.
I was pussyfooting. Like, I was trying to be sensitive, trying to be polite, while also having my statement of like, I just don't get it. Why is this so different? I think everyone assumed that the kid said something specific about, your mom was in a car crash, idiot. Like, I'm glad she's dead. Like, I think that's what a lot of people thought. And frankly, because so many people assumed that, I was just like, okay, I even if he said that, like, or something weird, like again, it's such a weird statement that something's wrong with that kid. Like, you don't have to like kill him or put him in jail. Like, yeah, everyone hates him now anyway. And you piling on doesn't help. Well, now we have found out from Ketel Marte himself. He said, what did he say? He wanted to. What did he say about his mom? He said
he said specifically, "I texted your mom last night."
I
Quote,
texted your
end
mom
quote.
last night. Oh my gosh, dude. I waited and I waited and I waited till I had that little thing that I should have waited a little bit longer and then just been like, you're all idiots. And I'm going to say it now. You're all idiots. If you jumped on this kid for saying, I texted your mom last night, dude, I've heard worse things at the ballpark. I don't like any heckling. But to go ahead and form the lynch mob over this kid, shut up. You don't know anything. When you sit there and just there's people mouthing off on X saying like, we have to go F and get this kid. Like, it was just this moral crusade that I'm so much better than some idiot, you know, and try to ruin his life over what? Ah, gosh. Can you tell I'm riled up about it?
Ask you this. Hypothetical. You're at the ballpark sitting next to this guy with your daughters and your wife, okay? And he says exactly what he said. Or he says, "You suck balls." All right, two different statements, right? Like, what do you think is more offensive?
Any kind of like the balls is closer to swearing, so maybe that.
Way
like
more offensive.
Yeah,
And you hear
any
that
swearing
the
or graphic
game.
stuff.
You hear the inappropriate, like, borderline, I don't want my kids to hear this the whole time. And what he said is kind of harmless. And he just happened to say it to somebody that was also being heckled the whole game by that woman that I spoke on. And then also, I would bet you he had no idea that something terrible happened to Ketel
Of
Marte's
course, he
mom.
had no idea. Gosh, man, imagine being that kid. Like, you just imagine he said it's his first time heckling. Like, his buddies are usually the hecklers, and this time he's just like, all right, I'm gonna do it. It's like a Key and Peele skit. He's like, all right, here we go. Texted your mom last night. Okay, that was pretty lame. All right, whatever.
10 seconds later, security
Wait, what's happening?
has you on the ground.
No. What are you gonna do, officer? Please, God.
Stop resisting.
Just kill me. Just kill me.
I will say this. The consequence for it being the heckler and being banned from White Sox games for life, not the worst. Maybe doing him a favor, in all honesty.
Insane.
Crazy.
Anyway, bro.
So that's the Ketel Marte situation. We addressed it last week. We addressed it again this week with a little more clarity. We have one more thing before we jump into the kind of the meat of the show today. And that's big news for next week's episode. And I'm going to let you kind of lead the way into this one again, since you were the point of contact.
Yeah, Callan Moss. This is a stud prospect at high A. He's such a underrated guy. No one really knows about him. I think it was Jeff Ponce over at Baseball America. He was also pretty big on him. I know Baseball America's put out some stuff on Callan Moss. They did it in the offseason. There's this little moment where he was catching folks' attention coming out of the Appalachian League. He's a Kansas City Royals prospect now. He was signed at 20 years old, 6'3", 225. This kid's getting on base like crazy. His power was the attractive part, but he's like stealing bases. He's doing it right, and he's looking sharp, and he's still underrated. I messaged him at Christmas, like on Boxing Day in Canada, you'd call it. Gosh, some things you can't get rid of, huh? But after a few Keystones, Canadianism start coming out, and so I messaged him then, and he messaged me back today. He said, "Bro, I'm so sorry. Let's do a podcast." So we got him on, Callan Moss. We're excited. It's going to be a great one. This is going to be kind of like, this will be our first player, because we had Kevin Griffin on. We didn't have Connor on, but we had Kevin, and that was pretty cool, really cool. And so it'll be really fun to have our first player be Callan Moss. His name on X is Michael Callan Moss. Callan must be his middle name he goes by.
Well, and I think another really exciting piece for this is Callan was a player that the model for Scout the Statline brought up, right? He was a guy in the top 10 first base ranks that we came across. We kind of fell in love with him as we were breaking him down. And I think that kind of, just pays a little homage to Ross and Scout the Statline as well. I just think that's a really fun piece of having him on. And we mentioned before we jumped onto this, some of the questions we'll ask, right? Like, I think it's a great opportunity for us to really see what the perception is from the player, right? Like we broke down his stat line, and we were like, wow, we think we can see some things in this. Like we're going to ask those pointed questions and really see if what we're seeing is what he's seeing, and or if it's totally different, which will give us a really unique perspective too on when we're just looking at the raw numbers. And you had the contact with him, and you just said he was great to communicate with, and it sounds like a great kid. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. Kevin was awesome. Like we've had some really good luck with the people we've brought on.
It's so funny. I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, he was unbelievably nice, really polite kid. And I'm just, as you're saying that, like, I'm remembering he's 21. It's so funny that I'm over here like, it's so funny. I'm just like, oh gosh, we got this cool guy on. I'm like, because he looks like a grown ass man. And no, he's a kid. We're talking about how dumb we were at 21. Jeez, he's on a good path. He's all right. Looking forward to that episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So we'll do that recording next week, next Monday. We'll have that out on Tuesday, and probably not a lot of prospect talk. It's really just gonna be the interview with him. So those of you that really want to see the inside of a player and what they're going through and their perception of things, definitely an episode to tune into. Those of you that just want to know about the DSL guys that are raking, hey, maybe skip next week, but I encourage you not to. Doc, let's get into it. So I had a fun little exercise for us today. We've been doing a lot of major league stuff over the last few weeks. We're going to stick on that trend. I have really essentially a gain or losing value in Dynasty kind of thread here for us. It's the outline I sent you. And we're going to break it down. I've got the old reliable vets, or guys that we are now considering as, veterans. I've got entering veteran status, and then some of the young guns. And young guns list isn't as deep just because, we're going to give some of these kids some leeway. And I didn't want to make this list too long because we don't have a ton of data, 3-4 seasons on the young guns. So if you want to add anybody to this list as we go through, let me know. But let's kick it off with the old reliable. First two names, gaining or losing value. And then I also want you to think about if you would be targeting these players in Dynasty. So first name is Manny Machado. Second name is Ozzie Albies. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so Machado is just someone who. When was the last time he had sex factor? But also, when was the last time he really disappointed?
I thought you were going to say when was the last time you
right?
had sex. I was going to say I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But probably, I mean, okay, we're getting off the rails here. Yeah, he's steady, and like he's had a kind of a rough couple weeks, but I'm not really worried about that. Season's great. He's doing great. And you kind of almost forget about how good the Padres are. The other day I was looking at their bullpen. I'm like, how are you gonna beat these guys once they get a lead on you? Throw Tyson Neighbors in there. It's gonna be stupid. But in terms of their offense, yeah, Machado, he's just what is he? And I feel like he feels like he's 36 to us.
I'd say
But
32,
was he
maybe 30.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. He is currently 32. Yep. So, yeah, no, that's I would be. And did you ask me if you wanted like a buy? How I think his value is his value is the same, but you can't. I feel like you can't necessarily. Maybe it depends on the league you're in, but I feel like it's hard to sell him. You almost have to hold him because he's just this boring, steady guy as opposed to the flashy new name. So steady, like basically a lock for 30 home runs, 100 RBIs every year.
Well, that's really the purpose of this, right? And what you just said is perfect. Can't really sell him, right? Because you're not going to get replacement value. I would imagine in a 30-man, we can probably get a top 50 prospect for him. But are you really taking on a top 50 prospect and giving up Manny Machado, right? Because you kind of want to sit on him for a top, I would imagine, top 20 prospect. And it's a hard place to be. So yeah, Manny Machado owners, I think you hold steady, and if you get a top 10 prospect offer, I'll take that. If I'm not a contending team, I'll take that. But I need it to almost be a sure thing. Next name, Ozzie Albies. I feel like very different circumstance here.
Yeah, I've never really been an Ozzie Albies guy. He always felt weird to me, and he has like one of the weirdest career trajectories and arcs of all time. How do you go from 33 home runs? It wasn't even like it was the juice ball year. I think the ball was just dead that year, or it was like whatever normal. And 33 home runs to 10 home runs to 6 home runs, right? It's just And now, I mean, also in that home run hitting year, you had him, more of a batting average guy than OBP. This year, I mean, even looking at the Savant page makes me want to puke my guts out. You can't touch this guy. He's not big either, so it's like not shocking that he's lost. I want to see what he was doing in 2023. He was just hitting that sweet spot and not whiffing at all. And now, yeah, he's got a very similar profile, but he's just not hitting his sweet spot. So I guess, and if you look at last year and this year, and then in 2022 as well, it's almost like I guess 2023 was the very, 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 very strange year. How he's only 28, so maybe he can tap into that again. But I hate to say it. I'm not saying he did juice or anything, but my goodness, it's really weird that a 5'7",
Well,
165 guy has
we have
this
to go
insane.
back.
This is like, what is this? This is like who's a good example of someone who like Nico Horner just blasting 40 home runs basically,
Brady
and
Anderson.
then never doing it again.
Like the aforementioned Brady Anderson season, where from the Orioles he went from like 10, 12 home runs to 40, but he was clearly juicing. Not saying that Ozzy is. I mean, it could just be one of those things where like we also have to think like they that season probably weren't pitching him the same way they are now. He's also had a number of injuries, lower body, wrist injuries, hand being broken. Like
That's
there
a lot
are
more fair.
elements to this, right? And I just think what's so interesting is the Braves fan base now is actually contemplating the Braves not picking up his options, because when he signed that extension, that team-friendly deal that everyone was so upset about, because how could they have all of these players under such team-friendly deals? His was more option-based towards the end of the contract. And like just thinking back a few years, it would be inconceivable to think that the Braves wouldn't pick up his options. Now, from what I read on X this week, it's a $4 million buyout to allow him to walk. He could be a free agent this offseason. And he was supposed to be a part of this Braves dynasty core without question. And how things can change so quickly. I also wouldn't be surprised if he goes to a different team this offseason and is good again. Like I still think there's something there. You just mentioned he's not barreling and he's been injured a lot. All right. Next two names. These are fun. They've been kind of kicked around for the last few years also because of injuries, and both healthy right now. One performing a little bit better than the other. That's Mike Trout, Christian Yelich. Yelich is the latter, kind of performing better than Trout right now, although Trout is coming back from an injury. So if he can stay healthy, maybe those engines will get kicked off and we'll start to see some really nice production. Same question. What are your thoughts? And are you targeting them, or are you actively looking to sell them and get what you can in Dynasty?
It's just so funny how people don't seem like they'll say the thing that they know is true, and then the mirage will show its face again, and they'll forget. This happens with Tyler Glasnow. I think it's gonna keep if Trout stays healthy for like 10 or 20 more games. It's gonna happen with Trout. You look at his Savant page, dude. It's freakish. It's like an MVP look, other than his striking out a lot. It's whiffing a bunch. Doesn't really matter though, because the rest of his page is so freakishly bright red. Like he looks like he's back. Looks like he never missed a beat. He's only 33, but it's like, which we just know the deal. And you're betting on bad odds, in my opinion. So 57 games so far this year, 29 last year, 82 the year before that, 119 in 2022, 36, and then COVID. But you're going back quite a ways, like over 6 years, if you want to get to even in 2019. 134 isn't even like that great, but it's like for a Trout would be amazing. So basically, other than the 119 year, the highest games played since 2019 is 82. Half a season.
Not good.
You can bet that after all these injuries and bumps and bruises and worse, that all of a sudden he's going to have that kind of durability kicking in. I don't make that bet. I never make that bet. It just doesn't make sense. At no point do I enjoy rooting against Glasnow I shouldn't lie. The only part where I enjoy talking like this about Glasnow and Trout is when I get to sit in the world of truth and like try to wake people up. It's like I do kind of enjoy that. I'm like, come on, guys. Yes, as a baseball fan, enjoy while they're here. Don't root for the injury. That's stupid. That's evil. But as a fantasy GM, sell if you can. If you can sell them like at a price where you're basically getting back the value for a proven stud who you won't get hurt. I mean, again, in roto leagues, I can see maybe more why you'd want to just ride it out if you really love Trout. And baseball, fantasy baseball should be fun. So if Trout's your favorite player, so be it. But in head-to-head leagues, how useful are these guys when they're not on your team? They're not contributing anything during your fantasy playoffs. There's a significant chance Glasnow and Trout are not going to be on your team. They're not going to be contributing. They're going to be zeros. And, I personally choose to allocate my value elsewhere. Hopefully, this is a renaissance year and I'm wrong.
Okay. Good response there with Trout. And I like that you added Glasnow. I want you to just touch on Yelich real quick, coming off the back surgery, this past offseason, finally deciding to have it surgically repaired. There is a potential path where maybe he's fixed, but similar track record to Trout, has played more games, but has been stifled by that injury. Do you have more confidence in Yelich staying on the field, or do you think the same thing? If you can move him, you can move him.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is a great sell high point. He's actually not as bad of a history as Trout, which is how bad Trout's been. You can go to 2022 and see a 154 game season. 2023, 144. It's better, but so it's like I would not be like, you can't take that risk with Trout. It blows my mind how you can take that risk, or just not sell high or put any kind of draft capital into him personally. Yelich, I can see that. It makes more of sense. I still don't really like it. It's not my favorite gamble. His Savant page actually isn't fantastic if you look at it, but he's playing great. So hopefully he keeps it going. But I would be selling personally. He is getting older too, 33. So again, these guys don't typically get more healthy the older they get. Just kind of science. And so hopefully, not as doom and gloom. Gosh, you got a few of these guys in the row. I'm looking at the next name. You sound like a jerk.
All right. Next two names. Again, kind of polar opposite seasons. And not as close in age as you would think. I'm calling Yordan Alvarez old reliable, but I want to say he's 27 or 28. He looks old and 27, reliable. I think. And then Pete Alonso. Again, very different seasons. Yordan had injury plague season coming off the knee, which we had heard some pretty crazy things about this offseason. Where are you at with these two players?
Gosh, it sucks so bad because I took over that team in Ross's league, in Ross Jensen's league, and it has Yordan Alvarez is the core guy. And I tried selling him early on, and I was so close to getting. I was trying to push Ross to do Yordan for Skeens straight up, and I could tell he was saying no, but I could tell he wanted to say yes. And now it's just frig, so far. Like he was offering me him +1, but he's getting greedy. I forget who. I think he wanted like Chase Burns as well. I'm like, that's not happening, brother. Yeah, Yordan. I think he's a good baseball player. I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but Yordan's only 27, and we're having this conversation with durability. I had this conversation before. I noticed these things. I'm like, especially when they're a batter and you can like pretty much get durability elsewhere. I mean, frankly, with pitchers, I don't want to keep saying Glasnow, otherwise people are going to notice that I'm a hater. But pitching, like you can think you're getting the safest guy, and he's going to that'll be the year he gets hurt. So if it's not Glasnow, if it's not a guy who completely implodes all the time, he can
Chase Corbin Burns and Garrett Cole, two perfect examples of what you just said.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Well, I think that's a good touch on point for Yordan. Just to finish the Yordan, do you think right now is a good opportunity to buy, or do you think because we're trending in now an injury-prone player, stay away?
I don't know what his value is because
same.
I have him in that league, and I'm not trying to sell him because it's stupid. Like,
all right, listen, I'll take him. I'll take him off your hands. Throw in Connor Griffin. and I'll give you Caleb Durbin. This is a
That's a
win-win for
pretty
both
good
sides.
deal. Durbin's
Okay.
so good, man. Gosh, imagine we go without a one episode without talking about the Durbinator. You
You
must love
just
him as a
can't
Brewers
do
fan.
it.
Is he one? They must love him up there.
The team is this team does this to us every season. Like where you look at the team as a whole and you're like, you look at the numbers from everybody and you're like, this is a 15 game below 500 roster. And then you look and you're like, nope, they're 10 games above somehow because every single guy on this team's a baseball player. Like Joey Ortiz carried us last week with Durbin. And it's like, does any team go into the season thinking it's a smart idea that Joey Ortiz and Caleb Durbin may have to carry their baseball team? Well, Milwaukee does, and it works for them. And it's crazy because they're just
It helps
ballers.
when you. It helps when you turn Quinn Priester from. It's a weird one. The Quinn Priester with a pitching org like the Pirates, where you think they could actually develop him. No, the Brewers are turning him into an absolute unit. It's
I
crazy to
think
see.
I think Priester just missed that development window in Pittsburgh. I think he kind of got to the end of the leash with them. The new regime comes in. I think he just missed it. And then, it's funny because Boston fans this week, after Priester had that great game against Colorado, you had two sides. You had those that were saying, oh gosh, we totally botched this trade. And then you had the other side that's like, no, we got a comp pick. And, we got their number one international signing from 2 years ago. And it's like how delusional the Boston fan base is. I'm not like mixing my words here. They're delusional. And it's
Yeah, no.
unbelievable.
When Vinny was struggling, Vinny Pasquantino, they're like, "Oh, Vinny for was it Rafaela or something like that?" And he's been playing way better, but I don't even know if it was that. It was Vinny for someone who was nowhere as good as Vinny. And they're like, "Oh, come on, no. Who do you think wins?" No, I think that we're probably giving up too much here. It's just so funny to see. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's that media.
But that
That's
wasn't
what
the
that's
point.
part.
The point was Priester. It's great. He was a former first round pick. I want to say 15th overall, 16th overall with the Pirates out of high school, prep arm. Talked about this at length. Prep arms take longer to develop. Comes to the Brewers. They're in desperate need of just innings. What a better place than the Brewers, right? To learn and have them maximize your abilities that you do have, minimize the shortcomings that you also have, and then be thrown out there. Like his first 2 or 3 appearances were terrible, and they stuck with him because they had no choice. And that's life. Like that's usually how you find good people is you help them develop, right? And like I'm happy for Priester. I don't think he's great. I think he's probably a solid 4. Maybe he develops, or maybe he is a good 3. He's not an ace. He did throw against the Rockies. The Rockies, they're horrible. I'm pretty sure you and I could strike out a Rocky if we had 100 attempts. But circling back after that Brewer conversation, Pete Alonso is the next name. Having a great season, on par with career marks for Alonso. Potential contract year with an opt-out for him in New York. In Dynasty, are you selling now, or do you think this is the version of Pete Alonso that we're going to get for the next 2 or 3 years?
Oh yeah, 400 OBP. No, I think you said it's a contract year, right? So I don't know, man. You do the math. It's crazy. I mean, you just don't know these guys, right? You don't know how they operate. Some of them love the game. I'm sure. And maybe it's a scale. It's probably not like this guy loves the game, this guy hates the game, is only doing it for money. There could be a
Yeah.
guy who's like, and there could be a guy like maybe let's just put it out there. I don't really know anything about Alonso. Maybe he's a guy who says, "No, it's pretty fun. It gets annoying sometimes. The seasons are long. Kind of bugs me. I do like it though. I love hitting home runs and hitting bombs. Gosh, oh frig, this big year coming up. All right, man. Well, I gotta suck it up. I'm gonna start caring more. Like I don't know. Maybe that's it. Like maybe there is a level. Maybe some
helps.
of these guys are so talented that even when they're not fully caring, they can just slug bombs and get like a 315 OBP and they're fine with it because they know that they don't have to do anything more than that. I don't know, but there has to be at least one player like that who's not named Anthony Rendon.
Well, it helps to add a $700 million Hall of Famer to the lineup. Right? Like adding Juan Soto helps. I don't know that it helps as much to the
It's a
impact that
lot.
Alonso's been,
Yeah.
right? Like, but it helps. And I think the second piece of that to what you were saying is it's a career year. And things are different in New York, right? Like, yes, they went to the NLCS last year, but during the season there was a lot of turmoil. There was a lot of disappointment early in the year. Like, that's an interesting environment to be in. This season, it was like, we have Juan Soto. We signed a couple pitchers. Our front office, dude, next to Albert Einstein, might be the smartest people to ever live on Earth. And did just a different vibe going into the year. I think that matters too. What do you think of that?
Of course, your organization matters. And no, I think that there is something to be said about protection in a lineup. So there's some things. Again, it's just like 380 OBP. This is obviously due for a correction. I think he's could be hitting one of those. Maybe he hits 50 home runs this year. That he's done it.
Yeah,
He
he's
can do
done
it
it.
again.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Next few names: Mookie, Buxton. What are your thoughts? Is Mookie done? Was it the 20 pounds of food poisoning? What's the deal?
I mean, it's I've wanted to resist calling that, and like you look at 2023 is so amazing, but you look at last year, like that is crazy. I keep flicking back and forth between the two. The bat speed really dropped off a cliff, and with it the EVs went a little bit, and this year the bat speed is basically the same, a little worse again though, and a little just slightly worse. But the EVs are off a cliff. Like those are the things I'm looking at, right? Like earlier this season, Wilson Contreras was really doing terribly. People were like, "Oh, maybe he's getting old." And I'm like, "I don't know, man. Look at his numbers. Like his bat speed's higher. His same with Goldie when he was crushing it. He's got a little bit of a slump right now, but the bat speed was fine. The EVs are fine compared to like the last few years. So I think again, yeah. So in some situations, there's actually better.
Oh gosh, the EVs are. I haven't looked at
It's
this.
not in a good place. I'm being very polite right now.
I mean, okay, 2023, right? This unbelievable season, 92.4 average exit, 92.4 to repeat. 2024, kind of a down year last year. Good year still, but a down year. Dropped 2.5. It's down to 89.9. And then, excuse me, this year, 88.4. Yeah, that's maybe
he
it's
hasn't
not the
looked like
food
this
poisoning.
since it was 2017 was the last time we had EVs like this. So that's that's unfortunately that is like the career arc you see, right?
But also his max in 2017 was 111.7, which is good, right? But 2024 was 109.4, so 2 miles per hour under. And then this year, drop another 2 miles per hour off, 107.2. I mean, he's trending in losing power. There's no other way around it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a big guy, right? This is what I mean, like with Albies. Like if you start having injuries or things happening to you, what do you have to fall back on, right? And so
I wonder how much
maybe
playing shortstop it would be a different like tax on the body too.
I don't
Right? He's
know.
throwing
Yeah.
more a game. He's bouncing around more. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Here's the nice thing. The nice thing about this year is he's still barely striking out at all. Squaring up the ball like crazy. So he's still going to be able to remain effective. But for a fantasy perspective, I mean, he's not really that fast. I'm not sure
So
if he ever was
can
that
you
fast.
sell him for what you should be able to get?
You might be able to.
Do you think he's like Machado, where it's kind of like, well, you've got no choice but to
I'll
hope he
ask you
comes into
this.
camp?
Were you surprised at how bad the metrics were?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you have to basically catch some guy sleeping.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, well, I was in a trade talk today, and the guy doesn't matter details, but he's negotiating with me, and he's like, "Oh gosh, Mookie Betts sucks." I'm like, "Yes, he does. That's why I'm trying to trade him. I can't lie to you now. You know he sucks now." And he's like really bad, like in a 12-man like waiver wire bad. And I was like, we're not gonna go that far. He's close. Like Lars Nootbaar is on the waiver wire and has equal points to Mookie Betts, but you can't drop Mookie Betts. But it's like if we're to that point, a 12-man league, it's like you're having a bad year.
He's got 51 runs. Like he'll generate. Like he might just be like a solid guy now.
Well,
This is
and
probably
we're
this
only
might be the end
halfway
of the
through the year.
superstar. What's up?
Yes, we're only halfway through the year, so like maybe the
Mm.
All-Star break and rest, and like maybe he comes out in the second half, shoots at 90, 91 EVs, brings that number back up to right where it was last year. You know, the weather's hotter. Maybe he gets some luck on the road, luck at home. Maybe we're talking about a guy that ends the year with 25 home runs and 15 stolen bases and bats 270. That's not a terrible season. It's a bad season for Mookie Betts, but a bad season for Mookie Betts is still better than Lars Newbard's best career year. Right?
Hey, listen, if Lars Nootbaar stays healthy, he's a stud. He just can never stay healthy. He's one of those guys. It was tough to watch earlier this year because I didn't trust him in some of these leagues and stuff.
If
People were
I
like,
just
oh,
had
look,
a
I got Lars
different
Nootbaar.
coach in high school, I'd have been a pro kicker. You know, that's the
No,
what if thing.
friggin' Nootbaar's he's the metrics guy, dude. He
I
looks like a
know, but
superstar.
it's the
Listen,
same
Brewers
argument
fan.
as Trout, though, right? Like
No, no,
best
no.
availability
It's
is
not. I wouldn't say it's
availability.
the same. It is exactly. No, so this is what I'm saying. I'm saying I agree with it because early this year I saw people who hadn't had the experience yet, the Lars Nootbaar experience, and the first few weeks they're like, "Oh, I got the next stud. Look at Nootbaar. He's young. He's this." I'm like, I know who he is.
You're like, wait
And
for the
you're gonna be.
hamstring.
And guess what? Now he's on my team because he hit the free agent wire, and then he got hot, and now he's hurt again. So he'll probably end up on the wire if he. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, let's rip through these. These are kind of whatever names. I think you're just going to have the general opinion that I share as well. Byron Buxton selling.
Yes.
Yeah. This one's
Yeah,
interesting.
he can't stay healthy. He's never been healthy, and frankly, he has been actually like bad a lot of his career.
Having a great year though, you know, and good to see. Well, I want him to stay healthy. Like go out and put up 35, 35. Like let's see it. He deserves it. He's a good dude. This one's interesting because he's arguably the best pitcher or in the argument for top 3. Zach Wheeler, getting older, says he wants to retire in a couple of years. Do you cash in on him right now, even if you're lying to yourself saying that you're a contender?
No, I mean, like if you're competitive, if you're trying to win, he's not going anywhere for 2 years, and frankly, that means he's going to give it his all. He knows that he's on limited time, and so it's not like a guy who's not looking too far, and it's not like a guy who's getting lost in the future.
But if you're a fringe playoff team and you're looking at the board and you know your team will potentially make the playoffs, but doesn't have a great shot at winning it, are you moving him and cashing in, pushing your timeline down the road?
Just depends on the team. It's very hypothetical, but yeah, I mean, if I don't think I can win by the time he's retiring, then yeah, move on.
Sure. Next name, a little bit different because who knows if he plays again in 2025. Chris Sale. Can you move him?
My home league, I got Chris Sale, Justin Steele, Ryan Weathers, Pablo Lopez, Cole Reagans. It's friggin' disgusting.
So you're not doing well, huh?
I am doing well because I'm amazing at fantasy baseball. It's dude, I got guys coming out the friggin' wazoo. Are you kidding me? Got Miles Michaelis. I do have Miles.
Your
That team
ace.
is not great, but I did pick up. I mean, beginning of the year, this is a league where it's 12 teams, but in Yahoo, Ubich was only 3% owned on opening day, and I was like, okay, take here. Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, I can go. I'm making it work. Libertor, making it work. Pepiot, making it work.
Yeah, even with those injuries.
Yeah, it's been a grind. So, but the question was Sale. I've kind of had the idea he's coming back for some reason. Is it his lat? I know a bunch of my guys have lat injuries.
Broke a rib, diving for a ball.
Rib cage. No, I think he'll be back.
They said 8 to 10 weeks. That pushes him into September, I think. So
no, it says likely to. I'm seeing here likely to pitch again this season.
That's what I'm saying. Likely to pitch again this season is not like, oh, he'll be back in the middle of August. It's like maybe he pitches September 12th.
Well, yeah, Yeah, you want to if you're going to roster him, you better be sure you're making the playoffs. Like this, my team is making playoffs.
Well, and that's my question though, right? Is like, do you think there's a window to sell him to a contender right now, knowing that the contender isn't going to pay full dollar amount, but might kick you a nice prospect or two, because they believe Chris Sale's the guy that's going to win them the championship and come back right when they need him.
Yeah, it depends what you can get.
Yeah.
I wouldn't shortchange it. I don't have any like indication that Sale's going to retire next year. He seems like he's going strong. I don't know what his contract looks like, but yeah, I mean he's 30. Gosh, he's getting old. Yeah, he's 36 now. So yeah, I mean if you got to move on, you never know when it might be the year. I feel like he could be a guy who just says one day, "I'm gone. I'm done."
Yeah. I'm tired of getting hurt. I'm hanging it up. It's done. Okay, I'm gonna skip the next name. It's Marcus Semien. Who cares? Aaron Nola, Sandy Alcantara. What do you think? You buy in either?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm not because look, I kind of just like cringe a little bit, but maybe on Nola. I feel like
Okay.
Nola should be one of my guys. I've just never rostered. I think I no, I have him. I inherited him in an Ottenew league, which I can just. Goodness gracious, I'm so sick of all these platforms. Put them all on one platform. It's so hard to keep track. But yeah, it's kind of fallen apart for the guy this year, and seeing some people saying, "Oh, you know what? We never should have believed it. He was never good." I'm like, "What? You don't just fluke your way into his career." Um, and it's unfortunate he got hurt because yeah, he's one of my guys where he just logs innings and innings and innings basically forever. And I mean, I think people are so out on him. I should probably start sending some trade offers because that'd be fun. He is 32, but for pitchers, that's not that old. Especially if you've got a pretty good history. You can look at it from two ways. Like, oh, well, it's all adding up. It's like maybe I'd rather take the guy who's consistently giving you full seasons every year versus a guy who's getting banged up every year. I mean, and maybe he has been getting banged up, and that just means he's been able to play through it. I
Okay.
don't think. Again, sometimes these things will happen where a player will become really bad overnight. If it's like he goes from like decent, like if he goes from good to decent, okay. But if he goes from like good 3.7 ERA last year, 3.57, I should say, to 6, it's like, okay, well, he was injured. Like that's not. I don't think that was his ability eroding overnight.
So hypothetical, which I love. Clearly, you own Ryan Weathers. Someone offers you Aaron Nola. You pulling the trigger on that?
What is the context?
Doesn't matter. Any of your leagues.
It
Any of
does
them.
matter. In redraft, obviously, I would. How
Sure.
long is
Okay. I'm
Nola
sorry.
out for?
Dynasty, right? Remember,
Okay.
Dynasty, our podcast. Not that we've broken away from that a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit, but Dynasty.
Oh, we talk all sorts of garbage. How long is this guy actually even out for? I don't even
I
know.
don't know. I
60
don't
days
know.
with ribs. Yeah, but he's been out. But he's
Mm,
been out since May.
Ribs. Ribs are the
So I
new
think he'll be. My guess
UCL.
would be he'll be back in August. So yeah, if I'm it's freaking crazy because I just think that Ryan Weathers literally his upside is like a Cy Young guy, but he has so much work to get there because he has to put the innings up, like just the basic thing of getting through a friggin' season, and he's doing a really bad job at that.
Him and Lars need
Deep
to
inning
like hang
arsenal.
out
There's so much to love.
and find like a nutritionist or like a body metric person because they both
He
have great
hasn't been
upside.
forever. It's not been for. It's the interesting thing. He actually. That's why I was originally attracted to his profile because he was able to go deep. Like he was doing 7 innings, 6 innings. He was putting in these nice quality starts, and so it's just interesting. Maybe he's just pushed too hard.
Yeah.
Although I will say he went from finger strain to arm and then lat. It's like that's a pretty big elevation. So I don't know. He's got some things to figure out with how much it's worth being like, okay, I can sit here and say you have Cy Young stuff, but if you can't get your career off the ground, is it worth it? Kind of deal. Maybe you want to just find a middle ground where you're not a pure innings eater. So to answer your question, I think I would take Nola I would take Nola for sure if I was making playoffs this year. If I'm not making playoffs this year, I'll hold Ryan Weathers.
Just checked in on the box score of the Pirates game. I had a decision
I'm
to
watching
make.
it.
I chose to go with Nelson for Arizona instead of Heaney today, and there was just something telling me that Heaney was going to go out and absolutely send it. And I was like, no, that's ridiculous. It's Heaney. It's the Cardinals. There's no shot. They're going to bang him up. Here he is, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 Ks, no runs.
You know who that hit was?
Who was
Victor
it?
Scott.
That's our guy.
Of course. He went the other way with it too.
You just hate to see that. You hate, you champion yourself when you pick the right stream, and then when you don't listen to your gut because logic is telling you clearly you're a moron. It hurts.
I had no gut feeling. I just left him on the bench intentionally because I thought the Cardinals have been hot. The Cardinals have been hitting home runs lately, like
They've been good.
uncharacteristic.
They've been very
Really
good.
good.
But
So
that's
it's just
the Pirates.
baseball.
It's baseball.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh coming off a great 3-game stretch against the Mets, right? Heaney at home. There were just a lot of indicators that were like, this shouldn't happen, so it's probably going to happen.
One more outing like this from Eric Fetty. You're gonna see him take a phantom. He's doing this back to back now.
5 innings,
Like,
10 hits, 7 earned runs, no strikeouts,
this is
and
back to
3
back.
walks.
He's making Michaelis look like a Cy Young contender. So his spot is safe. I love dropping Miles Michaelis' name. He's making Miles Michaelis and Andre Palante look like freaking Maddox.
Anyone that can make Palante look remotely decent he's great. All right,
anyway,
one more name on the.
Hey, but I will say that no, but seriously, for fantasy advice, if you have a Michael McGreevy share, unfortunately, Quinn Matthews is still working things out. Otherwise, you might want to keep an eye on him. But Michael McGreevy share, Fetty's spot is in serious jeopardy. Like that, you can't be imploding against the Pirates like this.
Great little tidbit there. Last name before we move on to the entering veteran status, Dylan Cease. Good time to buy him. Are you targeting?
Gosh, I have him in a league. I remember like last time I looked at him, his surface stats sucked. And I was saying the same kind of deal. I'm like, yeah, he's a guy I should be buying him. And I see his numbers have been coming down. I mean, yeah, he's just, I like him. I don't know what his value is. I don't know. He's got a name, but he's not what he used to be in terms of like this. I don't know if anyone views him as a real ace.
No, but I think a real
despite
number
him being a
two,
consistent 200 strikeout guy year in, year out.
Yeah, like a great
So
number 2, and like that's not what people are paying for him right now. So I think you have to hold, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, we got 10 minutes left. So let's bang through our entering veteran status. First name, Spencer Strider. Been okay since, starting to like actually come back from the hamstring. I think what we're seeing with DeGrom's halfway through the season. Velo's back to 100. DeGrom's looking better and better every start. So maybe Strider needs that full half a season. I don't think we'll be there until about August with Strider. Do you think it's a good time to buy, or are you actually selling him in dynasty leagues?
Yeah, I'm probably selling him. I'm just never really too comfortable with a guy. It's not really big to begin with. He's got some chunky legs for sure, but
I mean, you love that he's a
man.
vegan.
I friggin' don't love it. But and this guy, I just think his name is so big. I got a crazy haul for him this summer, right when he was still hurt.
Yeah, that haul was ridiculous.
Yeah, I say go out there and sell him. He could easily get, if he gets here. Think about it this way, and it can happen to any pitcher, I guess. But if he was to get seriously injured again, it's like, now he's becoming one of those guys.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and will he be able to go full
2 elbow surgeries already? Mm-hmm. One more, he might be done.
You might be looking at like this is too soon to say anything like this, but he might be a reliever one day, right? Which should be, again, I'm talking about Grant Taylor, my random Grant Taylor tweet going viral. He's the next Mason Miller. I mean, Strider might be a late game Mason Miller. I don't think so, just based on his unbelievable success as a starter. But we'll see what his body says.
Next up, Vinny Pasquantino. Buying, selling. Do we know who Vinny is at this point? Where are you at with Vinny?
Love Vinny. And not just because of the tweets. It's funny because I wrote a thing about him on Prospects Live. I recommend everyone go read it. I'm the biggest fan of my own writing. When he came up, I called him Spaghetti Freeman. It didn't take off because he was looking like, he took a lot of walks. Like he was kind of a Freddie Freeman profile. Maybe he would never do 40 home runs or anything, but steady and like he's such a good hitter. They'll just go over the fence. And it seems like he's been trying to find his identity as a hitter. Maybe straying too far away from those walks. And this year, he struggled for a bit early on. Now he's really coming into his own. Again, we'll see. I think he's going to hit over 30 some years. I think most years you'll see between like 23 and 30, 23 and 28 kind of deal. It's 23 and 28. I think his peak has not been seen yet, and he still is 27. It needs to be this year. I'd love to see him stay healthy. Love to see him get that batting average by the end of the season above 280, lofty, and the OBP above 345. Like, I'd love to see him get to that 280, 350 kind of level, because that's where you can really be a guy where 20 home runs. It's like, okay, yeah, again, you're almost in a Freddie Freeman world, right? Freddie Freeman light, where it's like the ratios are just so dang good. He's such a pure hitter. He's racking up RBIs and everything from his position in the lineup and who he's behind. I think Vinny, he's gone through these funny, he came out of nowhere as this like, what? It's like old prospect. And then he got pretty hyped up, and then he's been disappointing. And now people, I think you're right. People don't really know who he is, and we're going to find out. This is a pivotal year, this year and next year, 27, 28. And for the Royals, because they have something special here, potentially. They have this Miguel Garcia turning into a star is so important for them and my fantasy teams. But yeah, Miguel, Bobby Witt, Vinny, if Jack Caggs comes into his own, you could have Salvador Perez hanging around a little longer, and Carter Jensen maybe able to, if you can make that bridge work, it'll be interesting, man. But you can't lose one of those guys. It's a very top-heavy offense. So Vinny is a critical element. If these guys are going to do anything with that amazing pitching rotation they're starting to put together, Vinny Pasquantino has to be Freddie Freeman light, I think.
Yeah, good take. I like that. Let's bang through these next three names. I guess the next four names. Just give me a buy or sell in Dynasty here. Michael Harris.
Oh gosh. Well, Michael Harris. I'll be fast about it. But how old is? I want
to say Harris.
I feel like this guy's been. I feel like he's been 23 for the last like 3 years. He's 24. You know what I'm saying? He's always been. Yeah, he's always been like really young.
Yeah, he's a kid.
But I've never been super into him because I don't. Most of my leagues are not pure batting average leagues. But this year the bottom's fallen out. It's like, gosh, it was interesting because it was always thought because of his age, you could mature into this 25, 30 guy maybe one day, but we're starting to see maybe not. I'm looking at his numbers here. Like, this is not going to be a fast one, apparently. His bat speed has stayed basically the same. So he's got bat speed. He's just chasing. And he doesn't take walks, so I'm not buying. I think that what we've seen actually, like his peak season is probably a greasy 24. I won't give him 25. I'm going to be a jerk. But it'll be like 267 with 317 OBP. Like I don't know. He's had an amazing year. 290. He had a 293 season. 331. So I'm being a real.
When you pull him up on Google, the first article is from MLB.com, and it's Harris. Braves believe he can snap out of the slump in a heartbeat. This is from 2 weeks ago, and somehow in that 2-week period, he has become even worse.
Listen, he actually does have 6 home runs, 11 stolen bases, so he's on pace for like almost a 2020 season. This is a fine. It just depends what your tolerance is. I don't want anyone who's going to pull my ratios down, so I'm pretty hesitant with those guys.
Okay, next name, Jesus Luzardo, buying or selling?
I've never been big on him, so I'll give you a hypothetical. Who said this to me? It was Luzardo. Oh no, Luzardo for Libertor was what some people were saying on X, and they asked a bunch of us.
I would take.
So Luzardo. Sorry, who would you want?
Luzardo.
Okay, interesting. You're with the rest of the people who don't know ball. It's crazy that you did that. That's how you wanted to
Thank
not
you.
know ball. By the way, Liberatore has been killing it again. He's a prototype, man. He's going to be so
I
good. Like,
think
this is
there's
basically his.
I think there's a really good chance Liberatore is a solid number 2. I just don't like him, and I hate the Cardinals. So I have
That's the
biases.
best thing.
I'm not going to
That's the
apologize
best
for it.
thing.
You know, like I don't dislike them as much as the Cubs, but like look at the division in the NL Central right now. As a Brewer fan, like I can't root for Liberatore. Like I can't. You know, I wish his career luck, but from a fantasy perspective, it's like fantasy football, and when you're arch rival teams, you're just like, yeah, the wide receiver got me 25 points, but damn, they won again. You know,
You
I
like
prefer not to.
Luzardo's 1.41 whip this season?
He's either incredible or he's horrible. I have him in a 10 man.
That's the
and it's
thing.
like I just
It's
leave him
too
on the bench.
frustrating.
It's frustrating. Like I might as well just
So
drop him because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm out. So okay, out on Luzardo.
Easy. Okay. Vladdy Jr.
I mean, is anyone who's out on him? Who's out? Like you can't be out. He's so
it's
steady.
not a sexy season, so I feel like there's
It's
a
never
chance,
sexy.
but there's always the hope of sex.
How he had the least? I feel like he had a 30 home run season last year with 323 batting average, 396 OBP, and I feel like nobody really like treated it at 25 years old.
But that's what
I feel like
mean.
everyone. I feel like everyone was
downplays his like super solid seasons as well. He didn't hit 45, and it's like, well, I think there's a really good chance now to go buy him because people have been waiting so long for him to become Aaron Judge, and it's like that's probably not what he is. But so, would you be targeting Vladdy, or do you just think the price is still too high? Okay.
I mean, I play my home league is with a bunch of Jays fans from Canada, so that's not happening. But
that's not happening.
I feel like in a lot of leagues, the guy who, because basically he's been a guy you could probably go out and get due to the lack of sex factor, despite the amazing production. So the Jays fans have probably already had him in a lot of leagues.
I see what you're saying. They've already targeted for fandom. CJ Abrams, next name. Which is kind of funny that he's entering veteran status at his age, but he's entering veteran status despite his age, kind of like Michael Harris.
It's interesting that you brought those two up. It's amazing. I feel like I don't necessarily, love Abrams' profile, never have. I've been open for him to grow just like with Harris. He's put up a great season. And he put up he's just like, I think he's more of a fantasy friendly guy than a real life guy. 20 and 31 last year, 18 and 47 the year before that. That's super young ages. But, I just look at him and he's chasing a bunch. He's such a mid profile. He's actually got really good, this is a phrase that Tim Connects got me on. The back of the baseball card. The back of the baseball card looks nice. The 287.
This is a fantasy asset, right?
Yeah. So
that's what we do.
Hey, kudos to him. I do have him in my score sheet league. He's by far my best player. It's like if you don't know score sheet, it's what 40 to it's what the guys who used to do newspaper fantasy are doing now. So if you don't know what that is, folks, you don't have any gray hairs.
You have to break out the old Macintosh to actually access the score sheet. That's a
Windows
joke.
95.
Yeah, Windows 95. There you go. You picked up on it. Okay, I got 4 pitchers for you before we move into the young guns. We are going to run a little bit over an hour today because I don't want to rush through
Let me
this.
see if I can be fast here.
It's okay. Oh gosh, I almost would rather you say the opposite because then we might blow through this. Hunter Brown. Do you sell it?
Yeah, buy.
Oh, buy. Not saying a lot.
I mean, gosh, I just wish I had him in more leagues. He went from a guy I had no interest in to now I'm like, what does he do that's bad? Like he's got the deep arsenal. Everything on Savant checks out. He's like good size, good age, good team. Pisses me off because like the guy in my home league, I don't like him. So that's the only reason like I can't fully say he's my favorite, but gosh, like if there's he's not appreciated. Like he's not appreciated. He's not in the Scoople conversation. He should be.
No, he's not.
Why is he not? He's
Okay.
1.74 ERA. It's unbelievable.
I think people are just waiting for the shoe to drop. I mean, we've had this conversation on the show before. In my home league 2 years ago, he was dropped in May. And ever since that moment, he's been right there with the best and hasn't slowed down. And I watched him in person in Cleveland, a dog on the mound. Like he's a pit bull out there. He's got that ace mentality of I'm coming at you. And you said it, under sub 2 ERA. Like my only question was is this the perfect time to sell? But if you're in, I love it, George Kirby, what do you think?
I think buy, just because his helium's completely gone.
Yeah.
Seems very boring. And that means he's coming back into a dock guy. He was getting way too mainstream. So I want those boring grinders. And it's funny. Yeah, I'm in like these roto leagues. I'm so much better at head to head just because I'm noticing there's a thing. These dock guys, if you notice who they are, they're not necessarily explosive. So when I go check out my roto leagues, I'm like, I'm not doing as good as I could be. Like, what's going on? Every single one, I'm lacking in strikeouts. It's like,
super great floor.
Well,
lacks in strikeouts.
Well, my strikeout guys are like Ryan. Well, it's supposed to be Ryan Weathers and Cole Reagans and Michael King in every league.
That didn't go well, did
it? Justin Steele, yeah, it's like yeah. Well, so that's where the strikeouts went. Gosh, so yeah.
All right,
George
back on
Kirby.
track here. Next name, Max Fried.
Although there are really concerning signs with him though, so hopefully you can buy him cheap.
Okay, good point. Max Fried, are you selling?
Gosh,
can he do this over the next couple of years is the real question. Can he, or is he going to have a Rodon season where just sprinkled in there, he's got a 4 or 5 ERA?
Just doesn't feel
he's been
like
an ERA dominant his entire career. So
I just hold him.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think you're not going to get the ace return that you should get, in my opinion.
Yeah. Brian Wu, last name on the entering veteran status. Brian Wu.
Sell because it's the opposite. Everyone wants to crown him as like the next Cy Young guy, and maybe he is. Like he could be. So don't sell him cheap. But yeah, I mean, like I feel like everyone's already like he's the guy, and it's like, well, let him play a full season. Let him play more than 120 innings, and he's on pace to do it. Yeah, he's a weird guy because it feels like he's been way more like down and out than he's actually just been able to fight through a bunch of random injuries. He gets dinged up all the time. It's crazy. So yeah, it seems like the real deal. But if someone wants to treat him like he's already given us a bunch of 180, 170 plus inning seasons of ace ball, it's like let's think of a good one. So Nola before this year, probably not. He's too rogue. But who would I trade for him? Like, man, gosh, I don't know who I would say arm for arm.
Okay,
I don't know who I would trade.
Interesting here. Interesting, like thought experiment. Entering his prime, showing characteristics of ace upside. Brian Wu, this is. Would you trade Andrew Painter for him?
It could be anything. It could even be a boat. But it's like you could say, it's the mystery box.
It could be a boat. Oh, it's the mystery box.
Yeah, it's the Family Guy meme.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Wu's about to enter his prime in the bigs and has given us over 120 innings in the season before. But Painter could be anything. He could even be a guy who's entering his prime, giving us over 100. It's just I'm
could be a
playing
boat.
out the joke now. Could be a boat.
I like that. I've seen that.
No, it's great. Not from I'm not a. I still like Painter better long term. That's why I'm struggling here.
Okay,
but logically, if you went with my logic, you gotta say Wu, yes. I guess. But if someone, it'd be tough. It'd be tough for me to accept it just because I like Painter so much. And imagine that if you go with the crowd, and then you're wrong, that sucks. Nothing sucks more than doing the smart, safe thing and getting burned anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right. Different thought experiment before we crush the young guns here. Wu for Bubba Chandler. Do you do that? Do you take that?
Woo. I'm just
Okay.
like, I think Chandler would be good, but I'm just a painter guy.
I'm on board with you with the Chandler. I'll take Wu for Chandler with the hiccups he's had over the month of June.
I'd
Like,
rather have Woo in that situation.
yeah, I agree. All right. I deleted a name from Young Guns. We only have 3 names. I deleted Wyatt Langford because we talked about that last week. Nothing's changed in a week's time, so we won't bang that drum. First name, Oneil Cruz. Horrible, horrible defensive season. Lack of effort. Personally, I'd just cut him if I were the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's how much I dislike Oneil Cruz and his effort level. So I will not be acquiring him in fantasy because I just dislike him. What are your thoughts? Are you targeting or are you selling because we're probably never going to see the full potential manifest?
Yeah, no, sell. Same thoughts. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted seeing this guy out there on the
It's
field.
disgusting.
Makes me want to get on a friggin' ladder and get up to his height and have some bodyguards behind me and then punch him in the face in that order. But
Oh man, I had a really bad joke about the individual that unfortunately fell, and I am just going to say it now that I brought it up. And I was like, he was probably so disgusted he just tipped over. I hope the
it's
guy's
like,
doing
was it
okay.
always this bad? I don't know, man. I was so happy I scouted. Like I was in Indianapolis. I saw this guy. Like, oh, he's a freak. This guy could be one of the best players in baseball pretty easily. Like just watching him for 5 seconds, and then seeing that kind of behavior. I mean, there's always a chance you can grow out of it. With Jazz Chisholm, though, I'm saying like there's always a chance you won't grow out of it, right? And so, yeah, here's the problem, guys. It's like football, basketball. I would say, and maybe I mean I don't really know about hockey. Yeah, I would say maybe even hockey. You can get away with being a knucklehead. You know, you can get away with just kind of putting your head down and grinding and getting the job
But
done
that's the thing.
if you have a lot of skill.
It's not even a knucklehead, right? Because like there are
No,
other
no, but
players
I
that are
mean, no, but it
knuckleheads.
is. It's a mental, but it's mental blocks, right? Like you could be, yeah, you can
It's
put your head
effort.
down and have. Here's the thing, but baseball is 90% mental. You know,
I see what you're saying. Okay,
it's so mental that if your brain is not functioning
I get
properly,
what you're
dude, that's
saying.
crazy. It's like think about all the steps that go into what he's doing, right? So not just he's either ignoring the fact or too dumb to realize the fact that when he's not going after that kind of stuff, he's going to get the ire of the entire commentators, his own fans, every part of the industry. His own team is going to hate him. Like his players are going to lose respect in him. You know, no one's
It's
going to like it. And it's like,
interesting.
and then because of that, it's going to trickle down to everything else he does, right? It's just, and it's going to lead to a slump, right? And he actually hasn't
Well,
been as good at the
we're
plate.
seeing that though.
Yes.
We're directly seeing the defense and the scrutiny, I think, affect the batting. And the clip that we know so relevantly is the one where he misses the ball in center. Has been a bunch of them, and then doesn't run after it. Right. When I saw that at first, I almost thought to myself, did the coach has the coaches told him like if you misplay a ball, just don't go for it? Because he just turned around as if he just naturally assumed his other outfielders would back him up. I was like, there is no way he like if I'm even playing softball that I'm not on my horse unless my coach was like, no, no, no. If you miss it, like don't hurt yourself. Like you're too important
Did
to
you
the
see him
team.
jog to first base?
But then there's that, right? And it's like, okay, there's no excusing that. There's no excusing when he got picked off the other day from the outfield because he just didn't get back. But again, like how much of the scrutiny from the defensive plays, to your point, have created mental blocks where he's just so far in his own head. All of us are assuming it's effort, when in reality, like they asked him to go out and play
Suck it
outfield.
up.
I
Suck it
listen,
up.
I'm on board with you, but I do think there's two sides. But for our podcast, for a dynasty asset, I'm selling. And you're doing the same?
Yeah. Yeah, he hit 2 home runs yesterday, by the way, but
Of
it's
course
been
he
like
did.
a slumpy few
Of course
weeks,
he did. Sell
other
him
than the
now.
2
2 home
immediate.
runs. Cash in on that. Last two
Yeah.
names. Big names. Big names. Down season for one, more injuries for the other. First name Gunnar Henderson. Are you targeting Gunnar Henderson?
Yeah, it doesn't it feel like he's completely sucked?
He has.
And this 20, you think he has sucked?
I mean, for his expectations, not like,
Well, I
he's,
mean, but for
he's not Joey Ortiz out there.
A Major League Baseball player batting 274, 348, was almost a 2020 pace, was just about a 2020 pace.
That's my point. For him and his
and he's 24 years old. Now you put that into it. Yeah, it's like, well, all it takes is like one hot month. But all you're looking for, frankly, the ratios are actually completely fine if he ended the season like this. All it is the juice. So if he just goes out there and has a 7 home run month, completely feasible. He could hit like 4 home runs in a week easily. That's what it would be. 4 home runs in a week, and he steals a couple bases. He's back. It's like, yo, bye. And like I've heard people, someone ripped on me someone ripped on me in my home league. They're like, oh, Gunnar's looking pretty rough, but I said, go ahead and bet on it, see what happens. It's like, if this is a slump, this is a Stars slump. That's how you know he's good. If you look at his Savant page, his launch angle sweet spot is really low, like Wyatt Langford's was before. Remember last year when he was like doing everything right, but I was like, he's just not hitting that sweet spot. And if he does, I wonder what'll happen. And then he did, and he exploded. And so that's what's going to happen here.
Okay, last name, Corbin Carroll. Is he injury prone? Are you selling? Or is he just too damn good that you're going to take 120 games out of him and hope that shoulder stays on the body?
It's tough. I mean, I'm kind of in between because he hasn't given us a reason to think he's Trout yet. But I have had concerns that his frame and his physical style might make him more of a guy to root for in real life than a guy you can count on, in the fantasy playoffs. And so, yeah, it's a tough one. I don't think he's a must sell, but you can't really buy him right now either. So I guess good luck. It's okay. I can't believe he has 20 home runs already. That's incredible.
You are offered Corbin Carroll for Roman Anthony Dynasty.
That's the boat thing. I think you got to keep Carroll right now. I think the long term that Anthony has the tools to be better.
Listen, before we end this show, go on to Baseball Savant and just look at the very short sample size we have of Roman Anthony and tell me you still feel the same way, because what he's doing,
it's
statistically
crazy,
speaking, is not meeting his Baseball Savant, and that's crazy. So his numbers are pretty ridiculous, are they not?
They are. I just wonder, for fantasy purposes, is he going to? He's not as fast.
The stolen bases are not going to meet Carroll. Correct. So
yeah,
you're taking more of the health approach with hopefully more power, even though, as you said, Carroll's got 20 home runs. So this is a hard conversation.
Have more power. He'll have more power.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see, man. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Roman Anthony is the more solid bet. He's more of a gunner, and I guess I'd rather have Gunnar. So. But for fantasy, I've always kind of been like that, right? I've always lived. I'm like, I'll bet on the guy who's got the stronger hit, stronger power over these guys. If they can do both, that's amazing. If they can be a Bobby Witt, that's amazing. And Acuna, that's amazing. But, yeah, Carroll's just weird but then again, it's going to cost me, right? So the smaller guys, Mookie Betts was a smaller guy. Even if it's over, he had an amazing run.
Altuve, right? Same thing. Hall of Famer. Both Hall of Famers. Durbin, yeah. Milwaukee pride there. All right, Doc. 115. We did it. Send us out.
Yeah, I'm your Huckleberry.
I'll see you guys next week.